What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Import Modify. On this episode we have a little bit of a dilemma, but I got some more parts in, so we're still going to make some headway on the Z31. I'll go over that here in a minute, so stay tuned. So in last episode we had a little bit of dilemma with the control arm bushings. I destroyed the outer sleeves whenever I was removing them, only to find out that I needed those for the new bushing kit. So I went ahead and ordered me 4 new ones from the Z Part store, only to find out yesterday when I called to check the status of the delivery that 2 of the 4 have been discontinued, and those are the outer ones. So I came back to the shop and I measured the journals on the control arms here and here. Now they're the same diameter, and that right there is going to save my ass, because I called them back. I ordered 4 of the inner ones because I already have the pins I need. I have the bushing kit already. I'm just going to get those in. I'm going to burn them out, and then we'll be good to go on that. So I went ahead and got me some more parts in. I'm going to go over them here with you real quick. I got me some new ball joints here for the front. I went with Moog because they're very durable. They're stronger than the factory ones, and we're going to replace them with those. It's going to be more than adequate for this car. And then finding this bushing kit here that actually comes with the sleeves for the front, so I said, what the hell, why not? I went ahead and ordered those. They're made by Super Pro. So we're going to install those bushings with those ball joints in. And I got this piece right here. You may be wondering what this is. This is a bump steer spacer, and we need this for the control arm angle and the steering angle to keep it close to stock, because whenever you lower it with coilovers, this angle right here is going to be coming up closer to the body frame, and your steering angle is going to change as well. So those spacers are going to go in between here and the knuckle, and it's going to push the control arm down more to give it, you know, more closer to stock geometry, and that's going to help a lot with bump steer. So I went ahead and got those while I was at it, and we'll install those whenever we do the coilovers. So we're set back on that, and that's just going to have to wait. It is what it is. I cannot help it. So we're just going to continue on this car until we're ready for that episode to happen. So without further ado, let's go ahead and rip into this thing and get it done. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is remove the strut rod right here. We got 2 17mm nuts right there, 1 17mm nut right there. Then after that, we're going to go ahead and do a 14mm nut for the sway bar end link. Then we got 2 bolts right here, one right here for the bottom, and 1 bolt right there for the bottom that connects the steering angle bracket to the upper strut. So we're going to take all that out. We'll take the control arm out, press the bushing out, press the ball joint out, clean it up, paint it, replace it, reinstall it. Alright, so we got them out now, and I got the arms off of the ball joints. So basically you have a snap ring right there. Remove the snap ring, and then you have to press from the top down, and that'll get the ball joint out. And these bushings here are a lot easier than the ones in the rear because there's no through journal. It just stops right here. This is the actual sleeve, and it goes into the back side of the arm right there. So I got them saturating right now in penetrating oil, and it should be a lot easier to press these in and out. So I'm gonna go ahead now, remove these, press them out, and then we'll go on from there. Alright, so I'm using the smaller press on this one. I have this little sleeve ring right here. It's gonna sit on the bottom of the ball joint like that, and that's gonna brace the bottom. And then I'm just gonna use the press and press the ball joint from the top right there. Just push it straight down, and that should get it out. So let's go ahead and do it. So the bushing is going to be about the same process. We're going to use a socket to brace from the bottom. I have a 50mm socket. I'm going to place that on the bottom, basically on the fatter side. That's where it's going to push out at. So I'm going to have it over right here like that on the bottom. Then I'll have this like that, and then from there I'm going to use another socket on top. This is a 27mm. And then I'm going to have it right here, and we're going to press it like that downward, and then the bushing is going to fall in the socket. So I had to cut that clip a little short there, because you got to be careful whenever you take this out, because this isn't braced right here, and whenever you start pressing, you can easily bend one or the other sides of the control arm. And I bent this one just very slightly, so I'm gonna have to bend this back, and then I'm gonna press the new one in there. Just FYI guys, be very careful whenever you're doing this. I don't understand why the factory didn't brace it, but it is what it is. I gotta be careful. I'm gonna take my time and do it, and then I'll show y'all after I press it back in. So you know, it is one of those things. These bushings, they still can be a pain in the ass, but they're a lot easier taking them out than the rears. So let me bend this back, and then I'm gonna press it in, and then we'll move on. All right guys, I successfully got that thing in there, and it is a little tricky because without this sleeve in there, it is very flexible for the side walls of this control arm. So I used the old bushing, and I got it in between right there, and I braced it when I pressed it in, and I was able to successfully get it that way. So just a little heads up whenever you're doing this, you gotta take your time. I was kind of rushing it on the video, so I'm gonna take my time and do the other one, do it right, and from there we'll move on to the ball joint, and then from there we'll start reinstalling things. Alright, so everything's cured up now. The paint looks beautiful. Now it's time. We're going to move on to putting the bushings in. And I have these dust boots right here that came with the Moog setup. These are, you know, your standard rubber ones. And the kit I have has a polyurethane boot. So we're going to go with the polyurethane setup. It's going to stand the test of time as opposed to the rubber ones. They'll get weathered eventually, and they'll crack and tear. So we're going to stick with the polyurethane ones. But we're going to start off first by putting these bushings in. We'll put the bushings in. We got the fat side right here and then a smaller side. So the fat side's going to go in on that side. So you're going to push it in like so to where it's like that. And then after that, we have some grease. We're going to apply grease to the pins and get the pins in. Then we'll put the boots on, and we'll zip the steering arms on. And of course the kit comes with these castle nuts and these Carter pins, so we'll go ahead and install that real quick. Then after that, I'm going to start taking other parts of the front suspension out, because I'm just going to go ahead and paint those and make them look nice and pretty, like I took the time to do the rears. So let's go ahead and do this, and we'll see where this video ends up. Well, obviously it's going to take a lot more force than just my bare strength to push these through. These are polyurethane bushings, and they're very stiff, trying to get them to fit through the journal. So I'm going to move it over to the press, and I'm going to press these in. You know, guys, the struggle is real with these bushings. You know, even though it has this little lip right here, it is very hard to center it right there and press it through. Now, I tried using a flat blade screwdriver because it doesn't want to go flush. It'll pop, you know, diagonally and have one side protruding out. And then I use a flat blade screwdriver to try to push it in, and then it'll just travel around the ring. And I'm not going to sit here all day and try to fight some freaking bushings when I already have a set. Now we got sleeves in there, they're good to go. These things are pretty easy because they're two-piece. All you do is you slide it in, make sure it's, you know, in there most of the way. Now it's got a little bit of a curved edge right there, so it's not going to push in all the way flush. And then from there you put the other end on the back, lubricate the pin, slide it through, done. Don't have to fight with it. So that's what I'm going to do. And after we get this together, I'll put the arms on it. I'm going to start taking the sway bar off, the strut rod off. I'm going to go ahead and clean and paint those. And then we'll see where we're at the end of this episode. The next episode, we'll just go ahead and get the other bushings in the rear control arms, and then we'll assemble everything back at once. And we'll kind of go from there. So I'm going to go ahead, put this on a time lapse and put these in along with the arms. And then we'll start taking stuff off of the car to paint it. Alright guys, so we got the control arms done now. I'm very happy that they're finally done. And live and learn. I went ahead and I paid over $100 for these bushings, only not to use this piece. I just used the sleeves, so it is what it is. I'm frustrated at this point with bushings, obviously, if you can't tell already. I just want to get this thing done. And yeah, I lost some money in the process, but it is what it is. You guys can learn off of me. And best thing to do with these kits is just burn out the bushings and replace them with the Prothane bushings. I saw the sleeves on these and I thought it wouldn't be that big of a deal, and this thing turned out to be a little bit of a headache. I just want to get this thing done. I want to move on. I just feel like I've been spending forever on the chassis components on this thing. I know it's a big job, but you know, when you kind of crunched on a little bit of a deadline, things like this happen. You get frustrated, and things like that happen. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead, raise up this vehicle. I'm going to take the strut rod off and the sway bar, and I'm going to clean and paint those. And then we'll install the control arms in. And I I'm just going to kind of put things roughly together. I'm not going to fully put it all in there together because, you know, things are going to have to come back out and install the coilovers. So I'm going to probably just end up mocking up one strut with the control arm and everything for whenever I do that video, just to show you guys how to take it apart. But I'm going to go ahead, lift this up, get this thing torn down so I can get things prepped and painted. And then after that, we'll just end up wrapping up this video. Well, whenever I took the sway bar end links out, I noticed that the ball joints right here, they're all worn out. So I'm going to buy some new ones, and I should have those in by the time I get the bushings in for the rear control arm. But basically, I have the whole suspension of the car on the ground right now, but at least everything's painted up, refurbished, looking good. So when it's all installed with the new bushings, it's going to look very nice underneath there indeed. So we're good to go on that thing. And also, I want to talk to you real quick about Power Tricks. Power Tricks, Charles Park, the owner of Power Tricks, he sent me a little care package, some Power Tricks swag. He gave me a hat and a license plate bracket, couple of stickers, a keychain, and also a window banner to sport Power Tricks up on the front windshield. So I'm definitely going to put that on there and everything. And this stuff's going to look real pretty with those coilovers installed on that. But with that being said, I'm all done for this episode. I had a very small, limited amount of time this weekend to come in and do some work, but we made some progress. Some progress is better than no progress, believe me. And, you know, some of the things like the bushings for the rear control arms, they're out of my control. Had I had those in, you know, we'd be a lot further along. But next episode, I'm going to go ahead and probably not do a whole lot of talking. I'm just going to hammer it out. So it's going to be quite a bit of a montage of me putting everything back together. And we'll have that all installed. And I'll do the brake lines as well whenever that time comes. And then after that, the whole chassis will be in there. And then we'll be ready to start doing the coilovers. And I just can't wait. I've just been feeling the crunch of time. I haven't been having a whole lot of time to dedicate to this as much as I would like. But things are what they are. We're just going to keep a positive attitude and move forward. I know a couple clips back you can kind of hear my frustration. And it's frustrating, guys. This job is freaking frustrating. I hate bushings. It's just like on the top of my list, but it had to be done. So, you know, that's what you got to deal with whenever you're dealing with bushings. But we'll get that all hashed out when I get those rear control arm bushings in. I'll get those burned out. We'll get those put in. Knock all this crap out and finally be on our way to do install and review of those coilovers and just start getting back to getting the car right, driving it, tuning it, and everything. And then from there, this project will be at a stopping point enough that I can start moving on to my anticipated M3 swap, because I've just been dying to get work on this car done. But I've obviously held up on this because I can't even roll it. So project life, you gotta love it, man. Anyway, I'm done. I'm gonna wrap it up. Thanks for sticking around, and like, comment, subscribe, and share. See you guys on the next episode.